Good afternoon, family. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining my book launch today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule, 12 noon Eastern Time, to join me. It is such a pleasure to be here and to inform you and tell you about my fabulous new journey in my book launch. So, the name of my book, for those who don't know me, let me begin by saying that. So, I want to thank so much the loved ones who are here and those who are coming to hear more about the book. But I realize that some in the audience may not know who I am. So I am Dr. Regina Rae, board certified OBGYN, a national speaker, author, women's health expert, and adoption consulting. And through my Facebook Lives, my webinars, and my books, I help happy or I help parents to be who are interested in growing their family, to understand the adoption process, to understand the birth mom's medical history and how that may impact the life of that baby, and to assist in growing their family through adoption. And so that is why we are here today, celebrating the culmination of more than a year's work of writing my first book entitled Adoption is an Option, your step-by-step guide to growing your family. So before we get started, I just want to acknowledge a special thanks to my team today who helped me to get here live with all of the beautiful background and and my husband and my daughter for helping me to get to this point. So I know that are we have an hour and we have a lot to cover. We have lots of exciting things going on. We have some raffles to give away, including books as well as a Amazon gift card for $50. So definitely, if you are interested in participating in that drawing, please put hashtag adoption in the comment link, and that will register you for the draw. All right. So are we ready to hear more about Dr. Regina Rae and her journey? Are we ready to hear more about the book? So many have asked, what motivated you to write this book while in the midst of COVID and amidst a busy OBGYN practice? And my motivation in writing the book was a reflection of the journey that I took in order to grow my family. And I identified some struggles that others may also experience or have experienced. And I wanted to be an inspiration to all who are interested in growing their family to consider adoption as an option. Now, many of us, when we're growing up and we're thinking about the ideal of what a family should be and look like, we do not factor in the fact that there may be some bumps along the way, some detours that life may take us on. But definitely the pathway that we take is what God has for us. And at the end of the day, it all works together for the good of them. So anybody want to hear about my journey, about Dr. Regina Rae's journey, about and how I grew my family? So I tell you, growing up, mother had always expressed the importance of education and the need to stay focused. Her comment had always been, the boys will be there. And so clearly focus on what you need to do and the rest will come. And that's exactly what I did. I'm sure that some of you have experienced that same sentiment in your household, and to the fellas as well who are in the audience. Focus on your career, focus on being able to provide for your family. So when the family comes, you are ready. Well, that is what I did. And I decided early at the age of 11 that I would go into medicine, and I focused all of my efforts towards that end. Well, certainly after college, I decided to work in the area of public health. I attained my master's degree and worked some additional years and actually returned to school as an adult learner at 30 years young as I began my medical school journey. And while on that journey at 30, learning all of the things that we learned regarding physiology and all the subjects that we're responsible for, it dawned on me as I learned about obstetrics, fertility, infertility windows, and that type of thing, that, hey, while I'm going through this process, I think I am also headed into this window that many of us think about in terms of growing our families, and are we running out of time, and the clock is ticking. And so I began to inquire, what are some options that I have in my mid-30s as I am completing medical school? I even asked, is it possible? Is it possible you all could just cut my ovary out and freeze it? Unfortunately, that was not an option because the technology had not caught up with the freezing of eggs at that time in the early 2000s. And so I prayed about it. Certainly at that time, really, it's amazing that adoption has not really been part of the discussion in the medical school curriculum when it came to, the subject of growing your family, but definitely with fertility and endocrinology. There were discussions about the IVF cycle and what does in vitro fertilization do, and how does that improve your chances of having children, and other things that we navigate through as one considers growing their family. Many of us don't even think about that we would have a problem growing families the natural way, the usual way. But as we continue each of our journeys, we recognize that sometimes we have to consider other options. But anywho, want to let you know that after finishing med school, we got into residency, and it was always my desire to have a partner in the process of parenthood before growing my family. And I was blessed to have my husband to find his perfect thing at 38 years young, and we got married. Now, still focused on my education, I wanted to make sure that I passed my boards, that I got through all of the things that I needed to get through, so that when it came time to planning a family, I would be able to help support that family. And so I got special permission to take both written and oral boards together, same year, because, of course, as an OBGYN, we recognize the narrowness of our fertility window. And I wanted to get done with my requirements so that I can get busy as soon as possible. So believe it or not, I had my oral boards on one Monday, and I had major surgery the following Monday to remove fibroids. And for those who may be familiar with fibroids, you know that they can cause pain and bleeding and irregularity of cycles. And depending on where they are, they certainly can also have an impact on fertility. And so certainly after that surgery, we got busy, and the best recommendation for us at that time was to proceed with IVF. Well, certainly I won't belabor all of the details for you because they are outlined in my book, but I want you to know that it was a journey. It was indeed a journey, and through several fresh IVF cycles, 5 to be exact, working with my eggs, working with donor eggs, working with frozen embryo transfers, it was exhausting. And I knew at 45, after my last miscarriage, that we were going to have to go another way. I was completely exhausted. I was depressed at that point, aggravated and annoyed that, you know, we have spent gazillions of dollars with that process and had nothing to show for it. But we still wanted to grow our family. And so we considered adoption. And to my surprise, I had to, look in retrospect. Why didn't we think about this before now? Why hasn't there been more discussion, open discussion about adoption as an option to grow one's family? And it was through that experience and beginning the adoption journey that I began to open my thoughts and ideas around that process. And so that too was a journey. After making that decision, we went through a couple of adoption agencies, realizing, what factors, what characteristics should we be considering with an agency when we choose one? We really didn't know as we, kind of walked through the process without a guide. And we were finally able to connect with an agency who worked for us, who had an advocate for us, separate from the birth mother. And it was through that agency that we were blessed with our daughter. And so we are so excited. She's now 3.5, and she is busy and sassy. But we are just so excited that we've been able to grow our family in that way. And during the course of the last few years, I wanted to identify how could I help others who may be struggling, who may have medical conditions that preclude them from being able to have a child themselves. How could I help them to understand that adoption is an option? And so I am just looking at my time here, and just one second, want to see where I am in my time. And want to make sure that we are staying on schedule so that we don't keep you any more than the time we've asked, which was 1 o'clock. And thank you so much. Got to get my glasses on here. Oh my goodness, the time is ticking. It's already 12:20. Well, that is a short skinny on who I am, how I came to be here, the reason for the book, and how it can help you to grow your family. I would like to introduce you to a speaker, a long standing sister, and a fellow mom who has grown her family through adoption. Just wanted to get you with an understanding and a different perspective of the adoption process. And without further ado, we are introducing my soror, Miss Michelle Perez, who will come to you and talk with you about her experience. She won't be long, but I thought it was important that we get a different perspective on the adoption process and how this book can help you.
Hello.
Hi, Michelle.
How are you
Thanks so
doing? You
much
look
for being
wonderful.
here.
I got to say, this book has really opened up a whole new dialogue that's been needed. I started my adoption process 21 years ago, and I have to say, it was challenging, it was lonely, but by looking at reading your intro to your book, I know many women have walked the same steps I have, and every adoption is different. But the key points of making the decision, where to go, what to do, yeah, you actually touched on that. And I mean, it's needed.
Wonderful, wonderful. And how would you say, what was your biggest frustration during the adoption process that
Honestly,
perhaps my book may have been helpful with overcoming?
oh, definitely. First, I mean, to say the biggest frustration would be the hardest thing to answer because you touched on the major frustrations in your first chapter. You talked about coming to the decision, also trying to figure out what agency or what to ask for, what to look for. And then you went into not only your personal life, but you actually married into your medical background. So if someone was to talk about things, you're like, oh, so that's what that means. Oh, could that possibly be my problem? So it can open up a dialogue to their physician as far as could we open up this doorway? Could we consider this? So yeah, this is needed. This is a discussion that every woman needs to have because not every physician is adapt to open up a dialogue with their patient. So you have a little bit. It's to make it really clear for everybody, reading the first chapter is like sitting down with a girlfriend with a medical background to tell you, hey, this is possible and this I've gone through. And guess what? I can help you through some information. If I don't know it right here, this is the resource to go through. So you have the background, where to Google, where to touch on. But to answer your question, my biggest frustration was finding the right agency that actually was that connected with my personality, that connected with our background, that actually was going to be an advocate for the adoptive parent. So that's basically it.
I didn't hear that last comment.
Oh, that the my biggest frustration was finding the right agency and knowing that I can shop for an agency to actually fit my needs, to actually advocate for me. Because, you know, every family needs somebody to go to, and you want to make sure that you're open to talk to somebody, a case manager or a social worker that will say, okay, this is what you want, this is what you're concerned with. And that way you matter too. So that was a major thing. And a lot of people don't know you can shop. You don't have to just call one agency and bow down to everything they say. You have a voice in your family. So yeah, they're supposed to help you build your family. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to day to share with my audience how you grew your family, what the frustrations you may have had in the process, and how a book like mine, at the time, if it had been available for you, it certainly would have made things a little more seamless.
Yeah, and I thank you for this book because if you know anybody that's going through the process, you need somewhere to go. You need that resource. And this is the first resource I have seen that actually opens up a door to make you feel not so alone. And it actually touch on personal, emotional, and physiological aspects that you want to ask. And you touched on it. And I'd say thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I appreciate your support. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Bye
Take
and good luck.
care. Bye bye. All right. And so, for those who are tuned in, wasn't Miss Perez just outstanding? She was outstanding with the nuggets that she shared, and certainly things have changed so much, in the last 21 years, but some of the frustrations are still there, including finding the right agency that is going to serve your needs, finding one location of items that the information is in instead of having to search for different sources in order to get what you need. Through my book, Adoption is an Option, your step by step guide, all of the information is right there. You may have been logged on to some of my previous posts where I outlined the 10 chapters in the book and what the book entails. Certainly, if that can satisfy your needs and meet some of your needs along your adoption journey, please tap into that bit.ly link that is strolling across your screen and get on to Amazon and buy your ebook. Buy it today. It is so exciting. This has been a journey, I have to tell you, and I've learned so many things along the way that I have shared in the book that I would like you to enjoy. We also have a webpage, drreginarae.com, where you can tap in and connect with me and to set up a discovery session and talk about what your needs are and how I could potentially meet those needs. So tap into both of those items when you get an opportunity. But right now, we are excited about this book launch. And so, with that, we are going to do our first raffle. So, again, if you have not had the opportunity to register for the raffle, please put in the comment #adoption so that you can be a part of the drawing. Our first gift will be a free hardback copy of my first edition of Adoption is an Option, your step by step guide to growing your family. Are we all registered for the draw? Are we all in there? All right, so we are rolling. We are rolling. You definitely should see on your screen that drawing real time. All right, and our winner is, oh my goodness, Miss Shonda Holsey. Yay! She will receive my first copy, personally signed by me, a first copy of my book. Congratulations, Shonda. Thanks so much for registering for the draw. Okay, I think we'll do one more. Let's do one more drawing, one more copy of the book. That was exciting. All right, here we go. We are drawing. We are drawing. And the next winner is Sanji Howard. Yes, congratulations, Sanji. Thanks so much for your support here today. Sanji has gotten her next copy or the second copy of the book. All right. And definitely, if you want your copy, tap into that bit.ly link there and get your ebook today. It is currently $2.99 and certainly, hopefully, affordable for most to get in there. So please get on that link and buy your copy today. All right. And buy your copy. I think I'm getting a little delay in my in my headset here, but I am it's working for me. So we're gonna keep on going. So also, when we talk about some of the other topics in the book, we have to consider that some people have always wanted to adopt. Okay, some people have always wanted to adopt. There may have been a reason why we needed to consider adoption. There could have been a medical condition. As I describe in the book, there are a number of health indications that can have an impact on your ability to carry a child. There are so many things that change physiologically in the body that requires, an overhaul. What the volume of the heart typically manages is increased at least twofold when you are pregnant. What the lungs require, the energy itself requires. And sometimes, if we have a medical condition that doesn't allow for that, and pregnancy can actually be a detriment to our health, increasing our risk for death, then we have to consider other ways to grow our family. Our overall goal is to be there with our family, right? In order to enjoy them. And so sometimes we may have to make other decisions and consider other options in growing our family. One other thing that definitely I want to focus on today is funding. Some people believe that adoption itself is just too expensive. It's too cost prohibitive. Oh my gosh, I don't have all that money. I was pleasantly surprised given and comparing um, the adoption process with the process that we went to before or went through before finally deciding. It was far more cost effective. And we knew at the end of the day that we would get what we wanted, which is a child to come home and bring home to love. And unfortunately, with the IVF process, it's a gamble. And many times, patients who are considering that option, we're already working with a best case scenario of a 20% chance, no more than 25 or 30, of the outcome of bringing a baby home. And so that process is definitely not a guarantee, and it wears and tears on your body. And so that's what I mentioned when I said earlier, adoption is an option. And honey, why didn't we consider this sooner? But through that experience, we have created the book that you have here before you. And so while we are listening to our next guest, I would like you to consider purchasing your book today, getting on that Amazon link and purchasing your book today. Thank you. So, our next speaker is Jade. So, what I wanted to provide for the audience is what the potential challenges can be and what the blessings can be through adoption by someone who's actually gone through the process. And then I want you to hear from a young lady who is been or has been and was a recipient of the adoption process. And so we have Jade here today. Hi, Jade.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining
Oh,
me.
thank you so much for
Jade
having me.
is here and she is going to introduce herself and what her experience has been like. So let's give our full attention to Jade. Thanks so much, Jade, for joining
Hi.
me.
Thank you. So I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, but I was born in China during the 1990s, during the time of the one-child policy, and my parents couldn't have children, so this was an option that they were considering. And it was actually a funny story. They were flying to New York City, and it just so happened that the person in front of them had left a newspaper on the front or on the seat, and it had an article about Chinese adoption. So that really inspired them and pushed them into considering that. So I feel so blessed to be here. I don't know what my life would have been like if I were still in China, because it's possible to grow out of the system at, I think the age was 14 at the time, and I don't know what happens after that. So I feel so privileged and fortunate to be here and to be adopted by my amazing family. I've been given so many opportunities. So I'm a cellist, and I just remember my dad taking me to my lessons when I was younger, and having my mom to talk to, and just having my both my parents around to have that love was is just amazing. Yeah,
That is wonderful. And I thank you so much um, for being here and for sharing your story. What co- what what feedback or what encouragement, what words of encouragement would you give someone who might be considering adoption? And how
um,
might this book help them in the process?
well, I wanted to first of all thank you and congratulations on this book. I mean, this is an amazing book to have, and it walks you through all the expectations of adoption and all the odds and ends that you might face when it comes to medical or funding, as you said before, and final hurdles that you might encounter coming home, and agencies. So, I mean, this is really, it has everything. Like, I wish this was around when my parents were considering, because it would have been absolutely perfect for them. So thank you so much for that, and congratulations. I think it's also important to remember that there are so many people and communities who are willing to help you. And again, books just like this one, who are willing to help you through the process, and that you're not alone. And at the end of the day, I think it's so important to know that you're bringing these two halves of a family together, and you're having that love at the end of the day.
All right. Thank you so much, Jade. Thanks so much
Thank
for
you.
taking time to join me today and to share in your story. Many blessings to you. All right. Thank you. Okay. So we like to thank both Jade and Miss Michelle Perez for joining us today. It was such a blessing to have them available. Um, as I mentioned, as I mentioned, with funding, there are many sources of funding that we may not realize. It's not required that you have a certain amount of money in your banking account. Some employers actually have a fund available to you to offset that expense. It may not be an advertised service available, but definitely if you are considering adoption, then that would be a source that I would inquire about. Speak with your HR department, your benefits department to find out if there are services that help to offset the cost of adoption. Another source may be fundraising through your loved ones. Another source may be potentially retirement funds and tapping into that. And there are a number of grants and organizations and um, um, nonprofits that have made monies available that you can apply for and don't have to pay back. One thing also that was amazing is that there is a tax credit for more than half, if not the majority, of the cost of adoption after the adoption process is complete. Those are numbers that you can claim on the following year for or that particular year in which your adoption process was complete. So there is a full chapter in the book about funding sources and how you can get your bundle of joy without feeling like you have to, pay for it with an arm and a leg. There are just so many areas of the book that I thought would be helpful in making your adoption process more seamless. One other item that I will focus on in the time that we have is the profile book. So many times with the adoption process, you have to sell yourself. You have moms out there who are considering trusting you with their child's life, and they want to know that that child is going to be taken care of. And so the adoption profile book can be a challenge to get over, but what I have talked about in the book is a template that you can follow that helps to address the things that moms are looking for, the things that parents are looking for in what they want for their child. Many times they are looking for the things that they would yearn for themselves if they had the opportunity, or things that they may not have enjoyed when they were younger, that they would want for their child. And those are the things that they're considering. And so the book helps you to navigate the profile book formation. So my goal for this book was to put the items in there that I had challenges with, so that your process is more seamless and not as overbearing. Because many times, and oftentimes, folks have gone through other challenges before making this decision. Definitely for those who've always wanted to adopt, who may have had adoption history in their family, this certainly would make it an easy process for you as well. And so get your copy today, get into that bit.ly link and buy your copy today. If there are friends and family who you know might be able to benefit from this information, buy a copy for them as well. This is a season of giving. We are into the fall season, and fall often comes with and focuses on Thanksgiving. And so as a gift to others who might be trying to grow their family and are at their wits' end, give them this book as a gift. I am certain that they would appreciate it. And the final thing that I want to talk about is that I was shocked after going through the adoption process that this is not more of an open conversation. We have a number of children of color, yet in our community, it's not as transparent of a topic that we discuss. When we reflect on our families and our family units, we might actually know of a cousin who may have been adopted, but we never really had the conversation. So as a physician, an OBGYN, as a person who's actually gone through the process, I wanted to be a resource for those who might be considering, and a resource for those who have questions about the process. Through my experience, I have the unique ability to be able to give you detailed and factual information from a medical standpoint, wearing my medical hat, but I can also empathize with you, discuss and reflect the frustrations that many of us and many of you may have had along the way, to help you to understand that you can get through it. Our end goal is to grow our family. And we cannot be deterred by the bumps in the road that we may experience. So um, that is the reason why I wrote the book. That is the reason why I'm here. And I thank God that through the journey I have had with other colleagues through the Medical Mogul Academy, I have been able to realize my dream as an author of a textbook, an author of a book that I can share with the world. Certainly, I am an author of many medical journal articles and have experienced and performed a number of research, opportunities to print in our medical journals. But to be able to connect with a broader group has been a blessing. So I want to, before we get out of here, you get your book, you get your copy, you comb through it. Those who may have purchased a book already, please take the time to read through it and provide comments, because there's only, we're only able to improve when we get good feedback. So I encourage you and welcome the opportunity to review your comments about the book, some things that you may have wanted in there that weren't in there, that could be in there through the second edition. So get your copy. You have that bit.ly link strolling across the bottom. Get in there and get your copy. All right. I would like to say thanks. I would like to say thank you. Thank you to my colleagues and my practice who have been patient and accommodating and supporting through this process and this journey, this goal that I have set for myself. We have been working on this for more than a year. And I know that there have been times where I have been a bit absent, but we are culminating today with this book launch and getting it done. I want to thank my husband for being so patient with me and for stepping in and being, continuing to be that head of our family, as Christ is the head of our family, in supporting me in this process and in taking great care of our daughter during my absence, between work and my, I would say, my journey with the Medical Mogul Academy. And for those who don't know about the Medical Mogul Academy and Dr. Dre, it is a blessing. I cannot tell you how much I have grown from today to last May. Last May until today, I have grown by leaps and bounds in terms of stepping outside of my shell, speaking, doing more public speaking, working with less time and still producing. One of the sayings that we have grown to learn and understand through the Medical Mogul Academy and Dr. Dre is done is better than perfect. Perfection impedes progress. And so life isn't perfect. And although we may prepare and we may paint this picture and we plan this picture of how our life will be, it doesn't always turn out that way. I'm sure many of us who are in the audience can attest to that. Things don't always turn out, but it's wonderful to have a plan and have a plan with some wiggle room. So I just thank the Medical Academy, Dr. Dre, and all of my classmates who participated in this year's process. We have been there for each other. We came into the program at different levels, but we have all committed to making sure that we get on through. And I want to thank each and every one of you. I want to thank again my team who's here, here and abroad, who have helped me to make this book launch a success. I want to give a special thanks to my Halan publishing team, who have helped me to bring my book and my thoughts to reality on paper and in print. I also want to thank all of my family. I'm telling you, the dedication area of the book, I did not leave anyone out, because this has been such an accomplishment and such an achievement of endurance and perseverance, that I know that I did not get here by myself. I want to thank my family from Togo and from France, who have tuned in to support me. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. You all are 4 and 5 hours ahead of our time zone here. And I want to thank you so much for tuning in, especially Mama, who I'm sure is here as well. I would like to thank my pastors from my church here and my church in Chicago, for praying me through some things. They are mentioned in the book, as well as my mentors along the way, through the initiation of my journey into medicine, my journey into OBGYN, and my mentor at my medical school program. I am just so overjoyed right now to have gotten to this point. It has been a labor of love, but we are here, and I thank you for being here with me. So, as you wrap up your lunch hour and get that last bite of lunch in before heading back to work, I just want to thank you for taking the time to share your time with me today. Get your copy of the book, and let me know what you think. Get a copy of your book and share it with others who may benefit. And take a moment to check out the website. And if there is anything that I can assist you with accomplishing, get on the calendar so we can talk about it. All right? Well, we are out of here. Thank you so much. I tell you, with all of this technology, I'm not able to see through all the messages that are there. But I want to thank each and every person who's with me today. Thank you for tuning in. This is live not only on Facebook, but it is also live on LinkedIn and YouTube. So check out my LinkedIn and YouTube pages as well, and let's connect. All right? So we are out of here. Thank you so much, and many blessings to you. Take care. Get your copy today. Get that copy. Take care.